Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today would be my first literary analysis video, so be merciful on me. Today, we examine the curious case of Benjamin Button, created by the novelist and famous F. Scott Fitzgerald. But now, let's dive right into it. But what is the curious case of Benjamin Button? The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is created by F. Scott Fitzgerald, which explores the passage of time and the human way of aging. Explored through the eyes of Benjamin, who was born like an old man, would slowly reverse in age and explore throughout his life human interactions human would experience, but doing so, experiencing many struggles in the process, finding out how difficult it is to adjust with his difference than normal people. But now, the narrative language used in F. Fitzgerald's novel is English. F. Scott Fitzgerald was an American author, and the book was written in English. The narrative style of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is a third-person omniscience. In the style, the narrator provides an all-knowing perspective, offering insights into the thoughts, feelings, and actions of multiple characters, including Benjamin himself. This allows the story to unfold with a detached yet detailed overview of events. The tone is often satirical and whimsical, reflecting the absurdity of the central premise that Benjamin is born as an old man and ages in reverse. Fitzgerald uses his style to explore themes of time, identity, and social expectations while maintaining a sense of irony and humor. Curious Case of Benjamin Button famous. There would be multiple reasons why. First, it caught my curiosity of Benjamin's reverse aging, but also with the relationships, but also the struggles a man experiences. At the same time, the time in which the story was released. For 1922, it seems still quite relatable today, from the birth till old age of a person. Fitz's novel is moderately light, though not much defining piece in his catalog. It inspired a movie in which made his novel more known and critically acclaimed even today. Fitzgerald was known for writing about the jazz era and its excessiveness. Though certainly he did deviate from this novel, it still shares one trait he always explored in almost all his works: identity. The novel is widely known as experimental and something which tackles much more complicated matters. In the writing, the creator aimed to capture the complications of aging, familial relations, and the struggle to adhere to societal norms. The novel uses a narrative approach in telling the story, in which he tells most, if not all, the story in a dialogue-like sequence. Now, we should introduce the most important parts, or rather, the most important things to know in a story. This is our characters. Benjamin Button. He is the protagonist, born with the physical appearance of an elderly man. Benjamin ages in reverse, growing younger as time passes. His life is marked by a constant struggle with societal expectations and the challenges of his unconventional aging process. Hildegard Moncrief, or Benjamin's wife, who initially falls in love with him when he appears as a young man, but is troubled as he becomes physically younger, creating tension in their relationship. Roger Button is Benjamin's father, who is initially horrified by the birth of his son and the unusual circumstances surrounding his aging process. Roger struggles with accepting Benjamin's condition. So, clarifying with this, as we proceed with the story, Roger Button proceedingly gets more or less accepted in terms of Benjamin's situation as he come to realize that Benjamin's reverse aging. So at one point he's gonna be at the same age as me. He's gonna be much younger in me than in appearance because he's supposed to be. But again, Roger Button would not live up till the end of Benjamin's life, but still crucial character in the start. At the same time, there's a doctor, which would you see in the start of the novel, a minor character who confirms the unusual nature of Benjamin's condition, offering a clinical explanation but remaining relatively detached from the emotional aspects of Benjamin's life. Again, the doctor we'd see on the start pretty much trying to distance himself from Benjamin because apparently of his, record and whatnot. But still, remember, there's a lot more further characters. Sorry. But again, this is mostly the real characters you want to remember for the start and maybe other parts of the story. But again, both Benjamin and Hildegard is very important. But now, let's discuss the setting, the plot, the conflict, and the resolution, and finally, the theme. First, the setting. The setting takes place in multitudes of locations, from the hospital where Benjamin is born till the nursing home where he would slowly forget where and how all his memories and experiences. The plot is simple. The plot of the story is in the hospital where Benjamin is born and where his parents would discover his defect. He would try to get to school but would be unable to due to his defects. But soon age almost to his father's age, where he would be introduced to Hildegard, whom he would then marry. Those are mostly the basic plot. But what is a conflict? The conflict would be more or less the younger he would eventually get, and how this would affect his family relations, and the challenges this would put to Benjamin. His wife is also distance in terms of his growth. Basically, when he's a 50-year-old man looking man, but he's actually like 10, 20 years old. But as his wife gets older, he proceedingly gets younger in appearance, but in terms of, total age, since he was born, he's actually still supposed to age up. But again, aging is reversing for him. Well, let's see the resolution, shall we? Unfortunately, the reverse aging of Benjamin would unfortunately turn out for the worse, slowly turning him to a toddler and learning kinder with his grandson. And then finally, slowly turning into an infant, and the final scene turning out that he would forget his memories and slowly age and reverse more and more till he would finally die alone. Well, let's see this theme. Well, the theme of the story is life and the struggle of someone, different. Okay, this part is supposed to be quite long, but we'll try to shorten it for many of you audiences, but still, let's do this. Again, as Benjamin ages, he experiences childhood in the body of an elderly man. This leads to a series of misunderstandings, as Benjamin is sent to school despite his age and appearance to be much older than his peers. Despite his appearance, he navigates the world as a child mentally, causing friction with others. Benjamin gradually becomes physically younger, and as he approaches middle age, he engages in adult experiences, including a marriage to, as we said before, Hildegard Moncrieff. Their relationship is initially built on the illusion that Benjamin is an ordinary man, but as he grows younger, the power dynamics and societal expectations complicate their relationship. Benjamin's life is marked by a series of changes in both his appearance and his perception of the world. The story reaches a point where Benjamin is now physically a young adult, but mentally he begins to regress. As he grows younger, he faces the loss of both his personal identity and his connections to others. His relationship with his wife Hildegard disintegrates as he becomes increasingly childlike. The emotional and psychological effects of aging backward are evident as Benjamin approaches his final stages of life. Wow, that is insane to think though, because Benjamin was a good man, I think, as I saw in the story. However, we cannot unfortunately reverse what he's experiencing at the time. Because again, as we are younger, we are less responsible, more or less childish. But as we grow older, we become more responsible. But Benjamin reverses that effect, therefore making Benjamin seemingly like an adult since birth. But then as he grows in years older and his appearance grows to be more and more younger, it's not just his appearance that changes, it's his organs, it's his own mind also changing. Therefore, everything that a old man, or rather the development of a man from youth to old age goes through, goes in reverse, again making him more and more childish along the way, losing the sense of responsibility. And again, instead of like, oh, I'm gonna enjoy my life at early age and then suffer in the next old age, like getting older, suffer more. But instead, he is suffering, or rather, he is having a family, building relations at his older age. But then as he gets older in again age, he physically loses the responsibility, or rather the sense of it. And again, goes on to a more youthful way of thinking, partying until he becomes a kid, he becomes a practically a toddler, going home, well, not going home, but rather staying at a nursing home until he finally, slowly but surely, at his old age, painfully forgets where, how, who he is. Again, at this point, I've told you a little bit too much far from my script, but let me integrate this. Again, the climax occurs when Benjamin, now physically resembling a child, becomes mentally younger as well. His relationship with Daisy was aging normally, comes to an emotional breaking point as Benjamin loses his mental faculties. He can no longer relate to her or function as an independent adult. Okay, let me say this. Hildegard and Daisy is the same person. I've both referred to the novel and created in 1922. Quite an old novel, but I still found it in the internet and read through it. But also through the movie, I found the correlations, the similarities, but also the differences. We're gonna explain that later. But again, the climax symbolizes the culmination of his reverse aging process as he reaches the point where he is reduced to an infinite, both physically and cognitively. This stage represents the final paradox where the experiences of life are completely reversed, leaving Benjamin in a state of helplessness and innocence, unable to retain his identity. This structure highlights the novelist Fitzgerald's exploration of the passage of time, the inevitability of aging, and the way society imposes expectations on the individuals based on their stage in life. The story's linear structure, combined with Benjamin's perverse aging, challenges the traditional narrative expectations and invites readers to reconsider the meaning of life and time. And especially understanding what the meanings and the moral of the story, it is genuinely fascinating and would, well, read it again. Recommendations? Well, yes, I would recommend it, and I would reread it at time to time. Again, the lessons of the story and how it tells it, so it's just amazing. And how F. Scott Fitzgerald, again, not just famous for this, but he's also famous for The Great Gatsby. Like one of those things, he's not just good at telling what lessons to be learned on his time, but also even today, the story seems more relevant than ever. Again, aging. It actually, at this point, the story I think was molded to be made just for one thing, for all generations to understand. And I just realized that, and wow. Thank you, F. Scott Fitzgerald, for creating such a wonderful story. Okay, first of all, I would like to recognize and thank my English instructor, Mr. Ventura, for making me think that I could complete this task. His direction and assistance helped me through all phases of writing my project. I'd also want to thank my entire family for their unwavering support and understanding while I was conducting research and writing my literary analysis. Your praise for me have kept me going thus far. Finally, I'd like to thank God for allowing me to go through all of this day by day, and I felt your leadership. Well, first, my references. I would like to tell you this. My reference is again F. Scott Fitzgerald, Wikipedia, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It's a PDF file by feargraduate.org. Let me search it up real quick. Yeah, that is fearsgraduate.org. Just search up the Curious Case of Benjamin Button and see the feargraduate.org one. That's the one I referred to. And finally, thank you for watching. It is gonna be a hectic day to edit this. I have 1.5 hours left till 6:30 p.m. Sir, I would like to say thank you. I appreciate your lessons, and if Sir Philip is listening to this, Sir Philip, please, I want to play some Uno. Let's play some Uno. And for Sir Patrick, thank you for considering for a much extended, extension to this. If you want, sir, I actually have a time for Saturday, and I can pretty much edit this much thoroughly. If you still could understand, I just did it as Canva. I might cut off this part though. Still, I appreciate it. Thank you and goodbye. See you for the next one. Peace.